wife. That's why this says from the ballpark to the boardroom. This isn't just about business. It's something you could take to every part of your life. Is what they're saying is not necessarily what's the problem. And our job is just exactly what Jim just said, is listening. Because we all want to, we all want to jump in with what we want to say, myself included, but we're not really hearing the person out. And now we live in a world where we're doing this. When at the social media conference, I finally had to just slam my hand down the table and say, quit tweeting for a minute and listen. We're here in real life. And so that's when I dumped the stuff out, and they finally listened. And they're like, he just dumped the stuff out on the floor, and they started tweeting it again. I'm like, oh, man, so that's good. That's exactly right. So what are some barriers to good sales or good communications? Being right. Jim just said, you got a customer, you got to hear them out. You might not always be able to be right. Sometimes you have to do what Covey said, agree to disagree agreeably. Agree to disagree agreeably. You may not believe or agree with what that customer or that vendor or what that person's saying, but you've got to find common ground. Not actively listening, being focused on you, that's a huge barrier to communications and getting your message out and trying to sell your position. Certainly being stressed and upset. I see this a lot in the consulting I do. How many people have sent out that email that they regret? and that's why I say with social media, it looks great, and you can be lazy man social media and connect Facebook to LinkedIn to Twitter. Don't do it. Don't do it. Because when you do it, you forget what audience you're even communicating to. So just be purposeful, deliberate, and intentional in your messages. And being distracted. I mean, have you guys seen in the airport what I was just doing a minute ago with this looking down? I was driving in the subway last week when I flew up to Harrisburg. A lady was like this, on the phone. The sliding door opens up. I'm on my phone, so is everybody, screwing around, what Biden time like we all do with our phone. She's like this. The doors open at the stop. They get ready to close. Somebody snatched the phone right off her ear and took off running. And you know what I realized? We're not paying attention. So I'm going to say leaders have to look up. We can't be looking down. We have to look up. That's why you're here today, because you're trying to position for 2012 and beyond. Very important. So in looking at some of this stuff, there's a 5 why model. Has anyone ever heard of the 5 why model? 5 whys it's actually an academic model that says if you ask 5 whys, you will get to the root cause of a problem. Because if a customer says, I'm just unhappy with your company. Why? Because the last 3 times I've got an invoice that's been incorrect. Why? Because I've told your sales rep that isn't our pricing grid and you keep doing it wrong. Why did you tell the sales rep that? Because they told me to tell them in person and said they'd get it handled. Why is that upsetting you? Because I take when a person says it's understood and it's done, it's a sign of that the company's going to get it done, and I'm very frustrated. You ask that why, you get to the root cause. We start with, I'm upset. We end up with the salesperson's broken the trust bond. So why is deeper communications important? Because each human being has their own truth. Each human being has their own worldview. Each human being has their own biases they bring into a situation. In my doctorate work, I had to do a paper on worldview. I thought I knew what my worldview was. But when you really, 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 really get down to it, it gets very tough to think through what that means. So you come at it, I promise you, with your own worldview, your own truth, and they come at it with theirs. That is a barrier to communications. That's their frame of reference. That's your frame of reference. Why does that matter? Because again, that's the backdrop through which we make all decisions. That's our nature and nurture and all the stuff. That's what we bring into the table. That's our bias. Print's dead. Ryan, oh yeah, you're a marketing service provider now? Yeah, so you print like t-shirts and banners now? That's their frame of reference. Whatever you come into it with is what the friction you're coming up against. That's why asking these 5 whys is so important. Why does that matter? We went over that. Why does that affect my communications with them? Because you're trying to interact with them on a personal or professional level. If you don't understand them truly as a human being, you can't sell/communicate to them. You can't sell/communicate to them if you don't understand where they are. If you don't take time to understand where they've grown up, what their background is. what their family situation is, where they've worked. You can't communicate your message because it's going to be halfway at best. Why is that? Again, our interactions and our beliefs, those are the outcomes. And why is it important? You can only do these things, again, if you understand the person, if you understand the company. So, am I saying anything today? I'm giving you some stuff that's just going on. No one in the planet has ever thought of that. No. But I can tell you this, in this rapidly changing world we live in, almost nobody takes time to write a handwritten thank you note, to stop and say thanks or hello or whatever. Everybody's in a rush. Everybody says, I'm slammed, I'm buried, I'm running ragged, I'm drowning. Those are pretty bleak terms. We all say them. So those are barriers to communication.